All right, Coach, back on the road. What are your thoughts on the Hopkins matchup?
Well, I think they're a very good lacrosse team. They've stubbed their toes like everybody else in the country a couple of times, but we know they're going to be fired up at Homewood to get the Orangemen down there and get back on the right track. And it's only our second, road trip of the year, so we've got to go down there and play better than we did in our last road trip and minimize our turnovers and be much more efficient with the ball in our sticks.
Is there actually something to working the kinks out of a road trip itself?
I think there is, and it's the travel. It's doing something different. All our games have been in a climate-controlled Carrier Dome so far, with the exception of St. John's. And we were outside. It was pretty cold, just as it was for St. John's also. But it seems like in the second half, especially, we took turns turning the ball over, and we've got to play more mistake-free. If we turn the ball over like we did against St. John's, we're going to lose this game. So we've got to, get to take better care of the ball, make sure we clear it, we're efficient there, and get some good shots on the goaltender, especially early in the game. And when they have the ball, they're a very dangerous team offensively, one of the best man-ups in the country, so we want to stay out of the penalty box. And we've got to understand who they are in our matchups, because they use a lot of different people at the offensive end of the field.
They won at Carolina, but are they better at home?
I think they're better at home. I think everybody's better at home for the most part. And again, they're a very dangerous offensive team.
What's the difference between the Virginia rivalry and the Hopkins rivalry, would you say?
Well, it's I think it's a little different than it used to be. I think it's definitely a rivalry between the Hopkins and Syracuse. Usually it's been two different contrasting styles going after one another. Hopkins a little bit more, I don't want to call it slow-paced, but disciplined offensively, and Syracuse a little bit more, risky and upbeat offensively. Where Virginia, I think you have two teams that are people go and they're just going to watch more of a track meet. They're going to get up and down the field. There can be more fast breaks and unsettled situations. And then, things have changed over there. It used to be, Hopkins and Syracuse taking turns in championship games, and now we're in the ACC instead of the Big East. So, every game in every game in the ACC is really important. So it seems like we have a lot of rivalries today, more so than back in the day.
Would you say this one is more heated or physical than Virginia?
I think that I think any time a faster paced is going to be more physical. This one, I think there's a little bit more thinking going on. If they've had the ball for periods of time at their offensive end than we get at our offensive end, it's going to force us to be a little more patient, rest the defense, and we're going to be much better off if we're playing more offense against this group than we are playing defense. And face-offs are going to be big for us. We need to be very good there. The stats, pointing our way, but you never know. And our wings need to be strong. And I'm sure the coaching staff at Johns Hopkins will come up with something in that part of the game.
Looking at Hopkins, how does Stanwyck match up in terms of Connor Fields? Other attacks you've played, where does he stack up, or how does he compare to other attacks?
Well, I think he's a very smart lacrosse player. He takes advantage of every mistake that you make. And when he's got all those offensive weapons around him, he's a terrific quarterback, and he'll help run the offense. He's almost like having a coach on the field. He's really developed his other hand, and he's really shifty around the goal, a good feeder. And he's good in their man-up as far as directing their people, and he's a very good quarterback for this group.
In the past few weeks, we've seen Kalpa do it on the wing. How did that start last year, and how did he get there?
I think it starts with his athletic ability. We had looked at him as just a face-off guy, and when we started to use him in the other positions, we noticed how fast he was. He's very strong athlete, and a lot of times, being a face-off guy, he was naturally good at picking up ground balls. So we just tried him on the wing, and it's paid off for us. It's got him some game time this year, and he can play. Can do a good job defensively if we lose it. So he's a good wing player, and he's still a good face-off guy.
Also asking about updates on two players. First, what's the update on Nick Weston?
I think Nick's going to be out for the season right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how about Shul?
Shul is going to transfer. He's been injured, but he's going to transfer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is there a destination yet?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's unique about Homewood Field? What's cool about playing there?
Well, I think for me, it's kind of the history of the game and all the championships. that are in the trophy room at Homewood, and Hopkins has just been synonymous with lacrosse, and they've got that rich tradition, and so I think me just looking back at the history at Hopkins, I have a appreciation for that and respect for that. Now the younger guys, and I don't know if they understand it like I do, but they will. They will come Saturday at 4 o'clock.
What positives do you guys get out of playing 4 straight one-goal games?
Well, I think of the fact that the experience of being in one-goal games and coming out on top of more than not coming out on top, and the fact that we've been there, and most of those games we've had to come back, so we've been down, early on, or at least in the first half, and had to pick away at it in the second half. So I hope that it pays off in the next close game where we've had that experience in being in tight situations and making decisions and having to make big plays to put ourselves in a position to win those games.